Welcome to the last episode of Blades in the Dark here on That's Dicey. We haven't done an intro in a long time, so I'm Andrew.
Steph.
And we left off last time just outside the warehouse where our evil scientist is jamming ghosts into robots and possibly trying to recreate vampires and try to kill vampires. And on the ominous note that the reconfiguration of the letters of the word Delta spell Telda, as Telda ran through the open door into the warehouse in what seems like not even a fraction of a second. You start to hear the whirring and, pulsing of energy and gears clicking into place as the warehouse goes into full, setup and preparation for what's about to happen here. And while that's happening, while those sounds are going off, Cricket, you see Brody slowly altering form into the same purple demon that you've met on prior occasions. And the demon looks at you and says, "The greatest power that I can give is my own strength, and your friend will serve as host to my power." And he looks over at you and says, "We're going to take down this warehouse. And then you and your friend can hopefully live in a state of freedom." And he looks at the warehouse and his eyes glint over that purple color. And the boat around you shakes like violently. And the purple demon is gone in the warehouse somewhere. As you hear sounds of his arrival throughout the warehouse. What does Cricket do?
Oh, jeez. We're in the. I'm sorry. It's been a minute.
Mhm.
We're in the warehouse for what warehouse?
The scientist who puts the ghost in the robot, that guy, he has a warehouse where all of them, I guess, essentially go to get repaired or where they get made also. And your plan was to go there and assault the warehouse and get rid of the scientist and all his work.
Did we get rid of the scientist? We did, right?
You killed a scientist. Brody killed the scientist, but that is not the same scientist responsible for the robot thing. His position at the warehouse was attempting to recreate vampires through like jamming spirits into corpses, seeing if it works. And the closest to vampire he got were the things you encountered in the apartment, Telda's apartment. Not actually Telda's apartment, but the other one that you went into.
Those weird dudes.
Yeah. So that's the closest he got to it, but he was killed. So, but the ghost robot dude is still in there, and now Telda is in the warehouse, as is the purple demon man. What else is there? I'm trying to think just of information that you should know and have. Shoot. Rigby is there and has the boat ready to go if you need to make like some sort of escape. And then Lord Skurlock went to gather other vampires, but as well, he is going to try to heist a shipment of Leviathan blood, which is what powers like electricity in the in this dusk ball. And he thinks that releasing it in its pure form could create enough like electromagnetic disruptance to shut down all of the robots like at the same time. But he is having to go get that and then come back. So currently he's not in play.
Okay. Are there like robots in the building, like would be robots, or
There are active robots within the building, as well
Hmm.
as some robots that are like just the hull of an empty robot with no ghost in it. To I guess do this in a narrative way. The Blue Devil person has Brody's headset, right? Because they're inhabiting Brody's body. And as he's sort of just rushing through places and like indiscriminately destroying people, he'll be sending you like tidbits of like, there's, like four people in this room, and there's like, robots in this room that are active. Uh, so uh, you have essentially a full like blueprint esque of the warehouse and where like people are and where people aren't. And the main center area where all the robots are active is where Telda and the scientist are. And the purple demon person is sort of scouring through the warehouse to ensure that like there's no additional like support that's like hidden somewhere. So he's kind of just indiscriminately getting rid of people throughout the warehouse and avoiding that section at the current time. But there's the main entrance that Telda went through, which is like the front entrance where you would spill directly into where Telda and the scientist are. And then there is a staircase on the side that goes up to like an upper level, and that leads into like the spaces that the purple devil person is in, just meandering around. But other than that, there's really no like direct entrance other than like shutter windows. Like if you were to like climb up and go through like these shutter windows at the top of the thing. But from the description you're getting from the purple devil person, he is not giving you like what shutter windows go to like a platform or like where they go to, because it's just not that in detail because he's like moving through there.
okay. Can I then try and go to Tilda?
Uh, yeah, you'd have to go directly through the front door. Or if you wanted to go like a sneakier way around and then kind of get to where Telda is, and then I guess evaluate the situation before jumping in there, then you would have to go like the other way. That would really be up to you. You could go directly there, but that's where the robots are and where the scientist is. They're all in the same place.
Kind of just want to go straight in. Cricket's freaking out a little bit. Their best buddy is now like possessed, and Tilda has been like an ally for so long, and they're just kind of scrambling. So Cricket's just kind of gonna burst through the door and be like, "You need to stop."
I think instead of like Telda engaging you, the scientist kind of steps forward and says, "This is the right path. Ghosts are they were trapped behind a wall, separated from us forever, and no one batted an eye at that.
They don't want this.
They don't do they care about what we want?
Have you talked to them?
Yes, many of them. In fact, some of them are willingly here." And at the sound of those words, you notice that there are ghosts throughout the workshop helping, set up robots and things. And one of those ghosts strikes you as like you know that person from somewhere, and you can't really place it in your head. And then uh, Telda steps forward and says, "Do you remember the rest of our little group that ran around when you were younger. Some of them are here and gestures to that person you recognize. And it is, in fact, the ghost of one of those crew members. And Telda says the ghosts that accept this option, they are safe. They're allowed to be ghosts still, free. It's only the ones that don't accept it that are trapped in machines. And
What does she mean by free? Like they don't have to be put in a machine if they don't want to be?
yeah, yeah. They when you're looking at them, they're openly out like how Winky, Blinky, and Buck appear to you and your house. That they're just out helping, patch up robots and deal with different things. And I think from up above, you hear the purple demon's voice. Except for this time, it's different. It's like disconjointed. It's like two separate voices talking at the same time. And in that moment, I think you hear Brody speaking as well as the purple demon. And both the voices say in unison that fear isn't freedom. Uh, and the purple demon begins just destroying robots. And the scene in the warehouse shifts and becomes extremely chaotic. And the scientist runs towards like another robot. And Telda, you see, start to like flicker in and out of like the image of Telda is there, but it's not there at the same time. And as it continues to flicker and shift, in its place, a like 7 foot tall werewolf creature appears. And
Mm,
yeah, and in sort of close to Telda's voice with a little more like gravelly, like growl to it. The voice says to you, I came here. The vampires are monstrous creatures, and they've continued to trap spirits of my friends into the bodies to make them part of their kind. And I discovered how to kill them, but it has made me maybe as monstrous as them. And I'm gonna ship it back over to you. What's the play here?
wait, so Purple Demon is helping the situation.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um,
So I think earlier in one of the things we attempted to establish what the purple demons thing is. So each of them has like a value that they attribute to them, and that's like the source of like what their whole entire goal is. So like power could be one of those things, or like wealth. And this particular demon is freedom, and that's like its stick. And so the scientist trapping ghosts in these robot bodies is against like the concept. And so you and Brody have a like contract with the demon essentially. And Brody asked for power, and you didn't really ask for anything. You asked for advice, I think. And speaking of stuff, the demon gave you a card with like a picture of fire on it. But yeah, so the demon is on your side based on the concept of freedom. So like, I think that's useful information because like if you succeed in a way that's like we don't free all the ghosts, then he may not be on your side anymore.
okay. Then can I just I'm gonna try and grab the scientist who was like running.
Okay. What do you want to roll for that?
Sorry. Can I make an argument that it's finesse because I have to like get over, I'm sure, like warehouse equipment and potential pieces that are falling as the demon like destroys other robots.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
I really didn't want it to be skirmish because I can't do it.
so
Um,
it is risky standard effect, and you can in every one of these instances add an additional die to the roll without like pushing yourself. That will be essentially the equivalent of the purple demon slash Brody assisting you.
Okay.
So,
And I'm just gonna roll without pushing myself any further.
all right. Uh,
All right.
it's a mixed success. Yeah. So you bolt over the equipment, and I think as you're like moving through the warehouse, you grab the scientist, but you when you grab the scientist, kind of catch him in a way that's like stumbly, and it slows you down, and it's not like you pick him up and you can like continue moving. Um, and that like millisecond of time that you're like in that stumble space gives werewolf Telda enough time to like get there. So you have the scientist in your arms, but Telda is like right there. What is the next move?
Um, why is Telda a bad guy? I'm gonna look at Telda and just kind of pleadingly like, please, you know this isn't right.
Let's see. That give me a roll of something. I don't know what per se. Um, consort. Seems cool. I mean, you could do command. Command is a little more aggressive. Sway is also a thing you could do.
Um,
And you do get
I
an
think
additional dice on
I
any of
think
the
I'm gonna
thing.
do Sway.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to like, like, hey, remember, we're friends.
Okay.
You don't want to hurt me.
Yeah. So yeah, you have the that and then the additional die. Uh, this is going to be a risky, great effect. If you succeed, this is going to shift like the elements of this fight.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. How? I'm gonna push myself. I feel like I really need it. All
All right.
right.
Yeah. So it is a mixed success. Man. So Telda hearing like the I guess pleading nature in what you're saying stops again for a second and begins to factor in the like the negatives I guess of this like these actions and uh I think kind of goes into like a like place of like thinking and it gives Telda pause. Telda doesn't like continue approaching you to get the scientist. But I think like because it's a mixed success, this leaves Telda in a state of like not knowing what to do, and Telda becomes a person again and not a werewolf, and is just kind of sitting there thinking of what to do next and like looking around the warehouse. Whereas I think if just for context, if you had made like the full success, it would have been like springing into action, right? Whereas this is successful, but it's like a thing Telda has to process.
Okay.
Yes.
And with her pause, I'm gonna actually try and maybe command the scientist shut it down, all of it.
All right.
I don't know if that's a thing he can do, but Cricket is not, a robot designer.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what the roll looks like.
I had that extra die.
I, is it? I think it's right. Yeah, it is there already.
Oh, is that because I don't have anything for
Yeah, you
command?
don't have a dice, so you have the single die.
Alright, I'm pushing myself again.
Alrighty.
Last session.
Yeah.
Come on.
Uh,
3 4s in a row.
all right. I guess how you just tell him to shut everything down? Is that um
Yeah,
okay? Uh,
like just
uh,
stop the process, stop the current robots, the would-be
he
robot.
gestures to a control panel uh, and says, I have to be there to do anything. But it
Um,
does seem like he acknowledges that, like, he can't run from you. And I think like the fear of like, oh, I tried to run and like instantly was caught. So like I'm not in a position to be like I can do some like shady stuff and get away. But he does have to get to the control panel, and I think that's part of the like the nature of again the mixed success. It's like the what he can do from the control panel is like not something you know, but based on the look of like okay, I don't want to be murdered because he doesn't want to die, so he's like, I can do it from the control panel.
All right. I'm gonna bring him over to the control panel.
Okay. Yeah, so as you're like going through there, I am going to say that I need you to make a resistance roll of some sort. So that's a resistance. What is it's insight, prowess, or resolve. And you do get the additional dice. It appears you have two in all of them, so aesthetically, it would just be what you feel like Cricket would use to get out of the way of what's coming. Yeah, so I guess if you're using one of the three, which one would you use? Insight, prowess, or resolve? Why not? Oh, jump out, jump back in. That work? So weird.
I just realized I was on mute. Have you missed what was the last thing I said? That I was using prowess?
I did not catch that, but yeah, we can do that.
That's why. Okay.
We can do that.
Sorry. I had said I think Cricket would use prowess because that's my best skill is moving stealthily and adeptly through spaces.
Okay.
I apologize that I was muted. I muted to cough and then didn't come back.
All right, all right. Yeah, I guess go ahead and roll that with the additional dice. That should already be on there, I think.
Cool.
Am I?
6 stress if I miss this?
Oh, yes.
Oh my god. Alright, yeah, a 4. Sounds about right.
Yeah, there's just fours across the board. So yeah, you
Wait, 1 second. Is that extra die costing me stress?
no,
Or did that oh, okay. This specific roll cost me 2 stress.
yeah,
I resist but suffer 2 stress.
yeah. So if you roll a six, you take no stress, and then anything lower than a six, you take that much stress minus what you
Okay.
rolled. So yeah, as you're like charting through like the chaos, pieces of just like these panels and like gold and like different things are just flung everywhere. Um, and you do see the ghosts starting to like pop out of the machines as they like go down. So like the ghosts are fine. But like the I guess interactions with like the like robot being destroyed um uh are going to end up like requiring uh some stress to get through that like space. And yeah, you make it to the control panel, and the scientist looks at the control panel and says, so there is two options. I can hit the emergency shutdown and all the robots cease to function, but the ghosts from within them are set free, which, based on what you've said and your demon friend has said, seems to be what you want, but some of these ghosts are not conscious ghosts. They're entities of malevolence. They only want to destroy and cause things pain. And they would be free at the same time. The other option would be going through my notes and shutting them down individually, but that would take time.
Uh, I'm sticking to my resolve. Shut it all down now.
Um, he hits a large, like, red emergency button, and you see the robot shut down and all the ghosts exiting the robots. And for, I think, the one of the very few times, due to your proximity to Brody, uh, you feel the air in the warehouse shift, and it is ice cold. Uh, and the release of the like ghosts, that energy shuts down the entire like power to this building. And I am going to say the scientist hits the button and uses that opportunity to try to escape. But I will give you the opportunity to do something about it.
Yeah. Um.
But yeah, he tries to use like the cover of like all the ghosts leaving the robots and the lights going out and like the spectacle of what's happening as like a, oh, I run now. You're paying attention to that. I'm gonna run away.
I think that would be probably skirmish, right?
Oh, sure.
Because it's entangle in close combat. I would like to think that, like, when I envision Cricket taking the scientists over to this control button, that Cricket kind of still had like a grip on their clothes, like
Okay.
on, the collar of his shirt or something. Can I
Okay.
get like an extra chance because of that?
Yeah, sure. A
All
second.
right.
All
I don't have
right.
a lot of room to push myself, so I'm not going to.
All right.
Here we go. All
Oh.
right.
Uh. Yeah. I think the this the actual like gravity of what is happening plays into your slipping in this moment, and I think also the scientist really doesn't want to end up dead here, uh, and in this moment gives his most prized possession to you to escape, uh, and wiggles out of this scientist jacket that he has on, and yeah, he just like wiggles out of the jacket and is like, nope, you don't got me anymore, and is running, shirtless on his way towards the exit. Um, but what
Yeah.
what you do see is this jacket looks like really old. The scientist does look old, but he doesn't look old like this old. Uh, and the lettering on the jacket has the words Devastation Relief Project. And this triggers like a memory from the museum that you were at, as something that you saw in passing as like part of that like history for this museum. And that particular thing was right after the sun shattered. Uh, there was a program that was trying to mitigate the effects of this like destruction and help people, with different things. And they're also associated, but not part of the Spark Rights, which is another like historical thing that you found out about because Blinky was a like a scientist of some sort and discovered using the demon blood to power things. Uh, and all of those pieces combined together are what like keep that lightning barrier around the dusk ball to prevent like ghost attacks, like leviathans killing people, and like it's what keeps all of Duskfall safe. But the particular like pedigree of the that particular group, the Destruction Relief Program, they wanted to undo the effects of the Broken Sun, and yeah. You'd see that stitching on the jacket, and based on how old and how like long ago that organization was, like 100, almost 150 years ago. You know that that's not his jacket, that's like someone else's that he's kept. And he gives a long glance back at the jacket and shakes his head as he keeps running. And yeah, he's just running. If you want to continue to try to stop him, you can. But the robots are like deactivated, and the ghosts are all free, and Purple Demon Man is still just shredding robots into bits. um, and I think that's when you notice Telda is fighting Skurlock on the like opposing side of the warehouse. And yeah, I'm gonna leave you to make a choice. Do you want to continue to pursue the scientist and keep him, or do you want to try to figure out the Telda Skurlock scenario?
I want to figure out the Telda Skurlock scenario.
Uh, you take one more look at the scientist as he bounds out of the door upstairs to go down the stairs on the side of the warehouse and turn to see Werewolf Telda at odds with Skurlock. And Skurlock looks at Telda and says, "Such a thing can't exist in this world. The tools to eradicate something cannot exist. You are that tool." And Skurlock looks up at Telda, who is like 2.5 feet taller than him, and says, "If I must die here to ensure that my kind survive, then I will do so." And vanishes into like a cloud of bats. And you see Telda sniffing the air and moving towards another spot in the warehouse. What does Cricket do in this moment?
Um, I thought she was human again, or had she turned back into a werewolf to fight him?
Yeah, yeah. She
Um,
she was human, and she was thinking over like the ramifications of what's going on here. And at some point while you were dealing with the like getting through the warehouse and the control panel and the doctor, not doctor, scientist, that Skurlock appeared and Telda was a werewolf again. So yeah,
um, can I try and go and like grab Telda's hand,
yeah,
her werewolfy paw?
yeah. Um, I guess. What do you want to roll? Say, well, I guess. All right, I'll give you the. I'll give you the. You can get up there and grab Telda's hand, and Telda looks and says, "Skurlock has taken many lives, and I know now what the scientist was doing isn't right, but what Skurlock does is also not right." And goes to move forward, and then that's where I think I'll have you roll something to like address that scenario. So the grabbing of the hand does create a pause, but then Teldus tells you Skurlock is a bad person and I have to go get him.
I'm gonna I'm gonna try and consort. I'm just gonna say, I know you'll do what you need to do,
Uh,
but he helped get me here, and he helped me put an end to this. And I'm just kind of gonna let go of her hand.
okay. Uh, I'm gonna give you that additional dice that I gave you last time, but for a different reason. I think the calm, like gentle approach of like, "Hey, hold on, you don't want to do that," and like holding the hand is going to assist you in making this as like a benefit of like the action you did.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Here we go.
yeah, that's
Not a 4.
a mixed success. And I think as you let go of Telda's hand, the like that realization of like I'm not here to like not being there to fight Telda. Like I'm not going to prevent you from doing what you're doing, but I think you should think about it. Once again, gives Telda pause, and as that happens, the sound in the warehouse like hits this weird like whirring, like it's a noise that you haven't like encountered anywhere in life. It's like something like simultaneously like whirring and like screaming and like shattering all at the same time. And you see the scientist uh,
Gosh darn it.
outside of like the warehouse door as it like slides open, and you see Skurlock has the scientist, and the sound that's emanating is the jar of the uh, Leviathan blood uh, as it opens, and it's just like this like violently loud noise, and the warehouse goes like in like loops and jumps of like lights flickering and robots powering on and like random just like everything is going, and the Skurlock says a promise was made by a friend of mine and I cannot allow them to fail, and holds the scientist into the air, and you see the purple demon uh, start walking towards Skurlock, and Telda fades back into human form, and Skurlock says, "If one of my kind die at your hands, know I will find you and kill you. Until then, Cricket, your words ring true, and you remember that on multiple occasions, nowhere near you or anywhere nearby, Skurlock has heard your conversations, and that fact rings in your head as he was listening to your exchange with Telda. And so he's there outside of the warehouse with the open Leviathan blood bottle, essentially destroying all the electrical mechanisms and all of the things in this warehouse. And he hands the scientist to the purple demon, and the purple demon goes and takes one of the robots and opens the little panel and puts the scientist inside, and he looks, and in the reflection of the like panels, you see flickering by Brody, and Brody nods in the reflection, and the demon opens his hands, and power starts to surge through the robot as you just see the scientist dissipate into like fractions of light inside of this machine. And then falling onto the floor, Brody stands in front of the robot and looks up and says, "Think we can go home now, Cricket?"
I'm gonna like kind of just like run into Brody's arms and kind of like bear hug and then just let out a I'd really like that.
Requests for power never really work out too well, but we needed it. We weren't going to be able to fight an army of robots alone. And I think as we zoom out of the warehouse, is there anything you want to do? Is there anyone you want to talk to? Say anything to as we close out this warehouse scenario?
Well, I kind of like that being the ending scene.
All right.
Just a hug and let's go home now.
Uh, and
Of like this, I don't know if that's where we're ending everything.
I mean, I do like it, but also I had messaged Alex about where I guess the end of this chapter was for Brody, just to figure that out. And Alex said, "I think Brody would hang with Winky, Blinky, and Book to figure out the next steps, mostly trying to find a way to retire for a while keeping the three ghosts safe and close by." So with that said, I guess the only other question is in the near future, not like the end of, cricket's journey altogether, but where does cricket see being in that scenario?
No, Cricket has always lived this lifestyle of like odd jobs getting through. I think maybe Cricket's gonna go on maybe on the road and kind of find a new place to start over
Okay.
and find a way to like stay in contact with Brody. Maybe they're pen pals or something.
Okay. Yeah, that seems cool.
But still doing like odd jobs, but like on the road exploring.
Yeah. I think the flashes of those, future moments happen, and we do in fact end on that, hug
Yeah.
in the middle of the warehouse. But you get these like glimpses of like what's gonna happen after that. Various places in Duskball that Cricket visits, and Brody, doing things to fix up that place that you lived at to retire and keep Winky, Blinky, and Buck safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We did it. We
Ooh.
we finished the campaign. It's a 1-in-7 record now.
Thanks for joining us on this ride.
And yeah, Blades in the Dark, really fun game. I yeah, and also thanks to One More Multiverse, it's made everything really easy to figure out for the most part, as far as
Oh
like
yeah, I
rolling
don't think I could have done this game without it.
and all that. Yeah, that was great. Well, we're going to be on somewhat of a hiatus, I guess, for a little bit after this episode releases. But see you here next time for something.
So,
Uh, that's it. I'm Andrew.
I'm Steph.
Until next time.
Bye.